Close your eyes and imagine the smell of rain on morning earth, fresh brewed chai, blooming peonies in a well-tended garden. Can you see it? Almost taste it? We use our senses to create home, the place where we feel joy and belonging. In life's journey, what we think of as our home evolves. We build new homes from our dreams, sacrifices, and journeys of miles and years. And for Indianapolis immigrants, home goes by many names. I'm Erica Irish, and in this podcast by the Indianapolis Public Library, we're learning what home means to Indy's immigrant community. Through their diverse lived experiences, we'll see how, rather than exchanging an old home for a new one, immigrants create a powerful new idea that home is so much more than a place.
Okay, hi everyone. I am here with Kwan Hui. He's a friend that I made, I feel like a long time ago when he reached out to me to do some work for the Chinese New Year. And that is how I met you. And we worked together to create a virtual celebration for the Year of the Ox. Start by telling me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been here.
Yes. This is I think, a very basic question for me. I have been in this great nation for 53 years. 53. Not
53.
Kidding. Okay. I came in the fourth semester of 1968 as a foreign student.
A university?
Yeah, university foreign student. The reason is that in Hong Kong, during that time, Hong Kong has a over 2 million population, but the chance of getting into the Hong Kong University is very, very small. I just made a quick calculation comparing to the number of students in Hong Kong University versus the over 2 million people. The percentage is 0.1%. Okay, 0.1% of population got into an undergraduate university.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how competitive. I mean, I was in among those best student category. I was okay, So for people like us, there's no chance to get into the college education in Hong Kong during those old time. So the only way myself and my friends, the majority need to go overseas in order to seek a college education. Okay, many of them comes to America.
Yeah.
Okay, and some goes to Britain, some goes to Australia. Okay, a lot of people come to the U.S. because U.S. is a free and very open country. People just feel that a lot of opportunity here.
Did you apply other places or you just applied there?
I only focus on America.
Okay.
America, including a few Canadian, very limited Canadian university, but the majority of my applications are in the U.S. colleges. Colleges. I don't know how many schools I applied. Quite a good number.
You came when you were still in college?
No. I came here when I finished high school in Hong Kong.
High school?
I finished high school in Hong Kong and then worked for, maybe 1.5 years so as a laboratory assistant in the Hong Kong High School.
Okay.
Hong Kong High School. And then I, during that 1.5 years, I started applying, communicating with U.S. colleges, okay. Submit my application. Things at this time, in those old time, depends on airmail.
Yes.
Everything is so slow, to get a response. It took me 10 days to send for them to the mail to get there, and then they process it, and then the time when I come back to me.
Mm.
Oh, we are talking about 2 months.
Yes.
It's not like now,
Now
an
it's-
email instantaneous.
Yes.
So I did apply for quite a number of good schools, but a few schools offer me financial aid. I don't call it scholarship, I call it more of a financial aid. And during those early time in the United States, getting a financial aid or scholarship for students are not that difficult as nowadays.
Mm.
Nowadays, I heard about the college students. Terrible. You have to be accomplished in many things in order to.
Yes,
to
very
get,
competitive.
Oh, very competitive.
Yes.
In those early days, many of my friends, who graduated from high schools, when they apply abroad, especially in the U.S., many of them did some kind of financial aid.
Okay.
Some kind. Okay. Now, I am perhaps one of the most lucky kids.
Oh, why?
I'll tell you why. Number one, there are two colleges gave me full tuition for the first semester.
Okay.
So what I have to pay is my own living expenses, room and board.
Room and board, and
so I picked the one in New York City because I have a relative in New York City, and the college gave me the first semester full tuition. I live in a dormitory. I have to pay my own room and board. But they told me that if I made a grade, that I may get a full support from the second semester, which I did.
Yes, of course. So you got the second semester too.
I mean, for students coming from places like Hong Kong, getting a decent to good grade is no problem. I tell you. In Hong Kong, students were being pushed a lot. Okay, even during our time, So getting a decent grade to good grade is not that difficult for Hong Kong students.
You grow up with it, so it's part of.
Oh yeah, grow up with that kind of under academic pressure.
Yes.
Here in the US, I thought, hey, go to college so damn easy.
So it was very easy for you?
I don't feel pressure, put it that way. Well, you have to work, of course. Especially you want to get the more assistant finances help. You have to put some extra effort. So it's not like that. It's not something you go to party every weekend. But we did have party every weekend. I tell you, I want to go. So it was a very beautiful, delightful college lifestyle. I think that was part of my best time in my whole life was undergraduate in U.S. University.
So it was in New York City?
New York City.
What college was it?
Okay, it was Long Island University.
Okay.
Long Island University. So the second semester, I start making a full support. What it means that tuition, room and board. I don't have to pay my room and food, and also health insurance included. But health insurance is very tiny during those times. It was nothing, not like nowadays. The U.S. During those times is very different from U.S. nowadays because of competition, because of the economy. Well, put it that way, U.S. is still the number one country in the world, but during those times, U.S. has no competitor, I tell you. U.S. was the strongest. U.S. is a model of the whole country. So there's some international chance that relates to what we are living nowadays. It affects our daily life. So anyway, let me go back to myself. I don't want to get into politics or international politics. So I was one of those luckiest kids. Got full support from the college until I got my undergraduate bachelor's degree. How fortunate, right?
Yes.
How
Yeah. Yeah.
fortunate. If I tell kids nowadays, they don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
They thought, hey, are you sure? Oh, so you see how different the world is. So after I finished, somehow I wasn't happy to just leave and then get a job. I continued to go to graduate school. No one asked me. I just come for myself.
You wanted to continue and
I just want to continue. I just find, hey, not bad, right? Maybe it's a free stipend, so easy.
because it was
All right.
yeah.
Maybe that's an
You didn't
incentive.
have to. You didn't have to pay. So
Right,
yeah, you
maybe
kept
that's
going.
an incentive,
Uh-huh.
So I went into a Catholic university, St. John's University, it's still in New York City, a part of Long Island,
Okay.
but still within New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into the College of Pharmacy. I changed the topic. My major. I was a chemistry major when I was undergraduate, and then when I went to graduate school, I become a pharmacology
Okay.
major in the College of Pharmacy. Oh, it was crazy. I start all over again with those pharmacology courses, starting from the undergraduate, make up those undergraduate requirements.
Okay.
Very, very difficult. Very,
Yes.
very difficult. When I think back, I simply didn't know how could I made it. Basically, it repeats quite a bit of the undergraduate required courses,
Mhm.
and then going to move on to the graduate courses, lecture courses. Okay, but I made it. I took my PhD in pharmacology in 6 years. Eventually, it took me 6 years. Okay.
To finish your PhD.
Yeah, to get my
Okay.
PhD. From I got into St. John the first day to the time when I got my PhD degree, it took me 6 years.
6 years.
6 years is not too long for a PhD because it varies. Some people can get in 4 years, some people even longer.
Mhm.
The PhD degree has no rigid schedule when you can make it, depending how
On your research.
your research and also quite a bit of your mentor.
Mm.
The mentor's attitude. Some mentor could be a little bit more release you a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Some can hold you a little bit longer time. Okay, and also depends on what kind of curriculum you are in. You see, yeah. So it took me 6 years finish. Again, in a graduate school. A lot of people got a stipend, living stipend, working as a teaching assistant. Those are normal. Almost everybody has that kind of stipend. So there's no problem on basic living need. The stipend enough for me to hire, not to hire, but to rent a small, tiny studio apartment, okay? And food.
So you were a teacher's assistant.
Oh yeah,
as
yeah,
well?
so yeah. I work
Okay.
as
A graduate
teaching,
assistant.
teaching assistant
Okay.
as a graduate student in St. John's, and that by contract, I was being paid
Mhm.
a stipend to cover my basic need. So again, the second time that I really don't have a kind of critical pressure on me
Mhm.
on financial situation. Okay. Of course, I don't have much extra pocket money. Okay, but the basic needs all covered.
Yes, you had everything covered.
Right, cover the basic need to be student, so I can focus on my school work. But I did work part time during weekend in restaurants, though. To make some pocket money
Yes.
because stipend, you cannot have too much to go to party, to go with girlfriend, right?
Yes.
You need money, right? And also, I need money. At that time, I bought a second-hand car.
Oh, what car was it?
Oh, I tell you, it was a muscle car. It was a Oldsmobile 442. Do you know 442?
Oldsmobile 442.
Check it.
I will.
Now it's a classic. It's
Oh.
collectible now. A muscle car, 8-cylinder, it can run at that time, it can run up to 120 miles an hour. It's a gas guzzler. That kind of powerful muscle car.
Mhm.
During my period when I was young, muscle car is a fancy thing for young people. Not nowadays. Okay.
So that was your first car?
Yes, that was my first car. But a used car, secondhand.
Yes.
But very clean though.
Mhm.
Very clean, very clean. I think it was just 2 year old.
Oh.
Very pretty. Red body, white vinyl top,
Uh-huh.
2 doors.
Mm.
Very attractive. Very attractive.
Yeah.
So those come from my restaurant.
From your restaurant work and your
working.
From your
So,
extra salary.
yeah, extra. Again, it was pretty fun, I would say. Okay. Now, after I got my PhD degree, I didn't stop either. I got an opportunity to go in the Harvard Medical School in Boston, Harvard Medical School in Boston, and also Massachusetts General Hospital. Okay, as a postdoctoral fellow there.
Okay.
Somehow, the reason the two institutes, by name, although it was one job, it was the Harvard system.
Okay.
The system, the medical school system. That once when you are in the Harvard Medical School, you are instantaneously belonging to the Mass General Hospital.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the system. It's not because I made two. No.
It was like a partnership with them.
It was the Harvard Medical System.
Okay.
How whether they are partnership, I don't know. But what I'm saying is that for folks like me who got into that system, automatically they said you belong to Harvard Medical School, you belong to Massachusetts General Hospital. It wasn't just a system. Okay. Although there are two institutes, not because I made two institutes. You see what I mean? It was a system that was called a research fellow in Harvard Medical School and also in Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston. Okay. So it usually took 2 years to finish the postdoctoral training. And after that, when you're a postdoc, you also have a contract. You're being paid a stipend. It's like graduate school. Okay. So there's no problem to cover the basic living expenses. Okay. When I finished 2 years postdoc, they retained me as a research fellow, just a change of title, same job, really, changing a title.
But they extended your stay there.
Oh, yeah. Sure. They're happy to retain me. A lot of people leave after the 2 years, but some people like me, they're happy to keep me there. Okay. Basically, the pay is almost the same or a little bit in increase. Not a big jump. But the point is that, again, my basic living expenses are being taken care of. So I can, again, focus on my academic. In Harvard, the academic work is really just pure research.
Yeah.
You just do research every day, every night. Stay in the laboratory overnight all the time to continue the research, And I was happy with that. No problem. I was a young man at that time, So that was how, and then after 4 years in my research fellowship, an opportunity shows up from Eli Lilly. One day, the Lilly upper management called my boss, my research boss. He was a well-respected top scientist, so everybody know him. My boss, his name is Ecke Haber, Haber. Everybody know him in the life science, medical science. He told me, "Hey, Kwan, Lily just called me. They said, hey, they read your paper. I published the paper. They said they read your paper. They're interested in you. Would you like to go for an interview? I said, where? He said, Indianapolis. Oh, Indianapolis? Where is it? I don't know Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I never heard of that. But anyway, he said, oh, I mean, the tickets are already booked for you. You know, the hotel is booked for you. You want to go? Just go. Hey, why not? Just take a weekend vacation, right?
Yeah.
Everything's ready. Just take a look, you know. So I flew over here. It was actually they pay for my wife too and my kid for the whole thing.
Everyone came.
Yeah. So we were just saying, hey, let's go there for vacation.
It's paid for.
It's paid for
hotel,
anyway.
Flight.
Who cares? Right?
Yes.
You know, it's a free trip. So I came in here. I interviewed. It was 2-day interview. Pretty rigorous. I see a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, and also make a presentation. You know, scientists asking me questions. This and that. You know. So by the end of the second day, before I leave the company, I know they like me. Okay, they're happy with me.
Yes.
And before I walk out, you know, they say, hey, Kwan, you are tenured. The HR told me that. Oh yeah? Okay. So I got a job. Especially he said, you are tenured. You know, that word is not unusual for companies like Eli Lilly during those times. Now it's entirely
difficult to get tenure.
Almost no such thing. You know, so at that time, you know, the world is different. The U.S. corporation, the attitudes are different. Yeah. Of course, the business is different, right? So all right, you know, and they offered me a salary, which is at least what Harvard paid me. Oh, I said, wow, not bad. Oh, okay. So I decided to take the offer and came to Indianapolis. It was start my job in Eli Lilly. It was January 1988.
More Than a Place is made possible by the Indianapolis Foundation Library Fund through a grant to the Indianapolis Public Library Foundation.
When did you retire?
2007 or 8. I checked the date. So it's been quite a while.
2007 or 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because at that time, I remember that the U.S. economy is running into a problem. You know, a couple of years later, there was the economic meltdown. Remember that word? Meltdown? And big corporations like Eli Lilly, you know, all big corporations, they can foresee what's coming. So not only Lilly, but all these big companies, they can tell. So everybody planning to cope with this kind of expected meltdown and to encourage. One way is to have employees to leave because the salary and the support. So the first thing is that they encourage people to leave and offering an attractive package. So I said, well, I look at the package. I'm not very greedy. It seems to be pretty okay. You know, if I work the same for another 2 or 3 years, I basically get the same
same thing. Yeah.
So why not just stay home?
And you.
and the other thing that makes me decide is I always dream of building myself a dream garden for myself.
Okay, that
always
was
in my dream.
You had always envisioned it.
Right, always expecting one day I have to build my own dream garden. I said, here's the opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you later.
Now you have it.
And
that's how you ended up here in Indianapolis.
Oh yeah. End up because of a great opportunity
Mhm.
offer from Eli Lilly. Okay, I was.
And you
pretty happy.
said you brought, so your son was born in New York,
Oh, my son was born in Boston.
Boston.
Boston. When he was maybe a toddler.
Yeah.
Okay, and he also we came to Carmel right away from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in the Carmel school system all the way until he finished, and then he went to Boston State University for college.
Mm-hmm.
And after he graduated, it took him 6 years to get his undergraduate degree. It was totally unacceptable to my generation, I tell you.
Yes, very different.
Kids nowadays, they say hang in the college, don't want to leave. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, you have 2 kids. You will see that later.
We'll see.
You will see. You're American born, they take things very, very
Relaxed.
casual,
And
relaxed.
it's okay, one more year.
Yeah, that's okay. No big deal. It was a
And
rush,
For you were...
For me, when I was a college student, I wish I could finish in 2 years.
And he took 6. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, he finished it, and then he find himself stay in Boston. Not Boston. Ball State University.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many years he stayed there.
He liked it.
He liked it. Maybe at least 4 years, if not 5 years. Okay, and then he eventually got himself out when he probably got tired of it.
He said enough.
Yeah.
So, Kwan, so then you graduated high school and then came straight to the United States.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you were 18?
Oh, no. I finished high school in 19 years old.
19 years old. So you were 19 when you moved?
No, I worked for 1.5 years as remember that I said I worked as a laboratory assistant in high school in Hong Kong.
Okay.
At least 1.5 years. So at the time when I came to the U.S., I was practically 22 or close to 22.
And you met your wife here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I met my wife in New York City.
Okay.
When I was a graduate student.
Okay.
In St. John's University. In big cities like New York or San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
you have all kinds of people come all over the world.
Yes.
Not like Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you the situation. If you're Chinese, you don't need to speak English in New York City.
Yes. Yeah.
If you are from South America, you don't need to speak English.
No, you
speak
don't
Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
You see that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
So this is very typical in all big cities in America. Okay, so there's a big population a big population of Chinese in New York City, and there's a lot of activities, in the Chinese community. And that's how we met, in activities, community activities or school activities. In New York, the college student. Oh, if you want to go to Chinese parties, there's no problem. Every week.
There's something to do with the
there's
Chinese
always
community.
some activity going on.
Yeah.
For the New York City Chinese students.
Mm-hmm.
So I met my wife. She came from Taiwan.
Okay.
She got a college degree from Taiwan. Okay. So eventually we have our own family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since you came when you were 20, what is your connection to China right now? Do you have any?
I have absolutely no connection with China.
Nothing?
Nothing. No, absolutely. I learned about China from media like you guys.
Yeah.
Or I joined the tour quite a number of times. The tour is a tourist for sightseeing. Imagine that. My family, my parents left China when the communist government took over.
Okay.
So at that time, I was just a toddler. No, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very vague, put it that way.
Yeah.
Very vague. So we have to leave. We have to basically run for our life.
Mm-hmm.
Put it that way.
Where did you go, or where did your parents go?
Oh, to come to Hong Kong, right? We fled to Hong Kong. Basically, the word FLED is the right word, to fled to Hong Kong, because the new government took over. Those people need to run. If we do not run, I don't know what will be the consequence. You can imagine that. Okay. So for me, I have very little, I have no living experience in China anyway. Yeah. Okay. My experience in China is listening, from newspaper, even in Hong Kong, Hong Kong was a British colony, right, at that time. But Hong Kong, culture-wise, it is purely traditional Chinese culture, because the majority of the people, 99%, at least my time, are Chinese people.
Yeah. Who flew the
2 million people, 2 million people are all 2 million people fled from mainland China to Hong Kong.
To Hong Kong.
There's no such thing as local people in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. There may be a few thousand local fishermen. The parents, the ancestors were here, but a few thousand only, practically. Okay. So the entire Hong Kong population are people run away from when the new China established. Everybody has to leave. Well, our family is one of those.
To Hong Kong.
Right. So the answer to the question, yeah. Well, I'm ethnic Chinese. I was brought up in the traditional Chinese culture. Okay, but a very different very different political and government system from China.
Yes.
The way I understand China is totally through media and my experience as a tourist. That's it. Yeah. Okay. And nowadays, we don't have any connection with China.
No.
IC is not connected with China. IC is not connected with Chinese consulate in Chicago. No.
It's just people who live here in Indiana.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we are
Chinese culture.
Who's Chinese?
Yeah.
We are American Chinese.
Yes. Talking about here or Indianapolis, Carmel, Indiana, why did you decide to stay here or create a community here?
Oh, why I stay in Indiana?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I come to Indiana. I answer the question because of the job.
For the job.
Okay, which is a good job. Pay pretty good comparing to what I had when I was in academia. Okay. Number two, when I before I moved in Indiana, I did talk to the really Chinese employees.
Okay.
At that time, there are not too many Chinese here. Maybe a dozen or less than a dozen Chinese employees here.
At Lilly.
At Lilly. And the majority of them are in the research scientist area. So I talked to quite a good number of them. Most of them say, well, if you have kids, maybe you may want to pick Carmel because, well, it kind of I don't quite absolutely agree, but people have a kind of a mind that, Carmel is known to have a good school system. Okay? I tell you, this is not really necessarily true, though. It is just a concept of a lot of people, or prejudice, So at that time, I listened to my colleagues to be.
Yes.
And so I came to live in Carmel, picked Carmel as my residence.
Was it hard to find good Chinese restaurants or food that really represented, I guess, what you grew up eating at home?
Yeah. Let me go back. The time when I came to Indiana, at least the first 10 years or 15 years, I'm not aware of any restaurant that I was happy with.
And this was like 80s, 90s, right? Because you came in 88, so it was like...
Right. At that time, we didn't even have a decent Chinese grocery.
Oh.
When I need to have a Chinese grocery, I need to drive to New York, not New York,
Chicago,
Chinatown. to load up my trunk
Yes.
with a soy sauce, all kinds of sauce, and Chinese fresh vegetable, and always bringing a whole case of food from
Chicago.
from Chinese restaurant, including a couple of roast ducks.
Oh yes, roast ducks.
Roast ducks, okay.
Okay.
Oh, for quite a number of years.
You would drive just to go shopping for food.
Just to go for that, just for Chinese food. But
so you say you did that for like 10 years?
At least 10 or 15 years.
Oh,
like
wow.
That. And then I forgot exactly what year, but gradually there were more and more Chinese grocery stores.
Yeah.
Start with a tiny small one, right? And then a bigger and bigger one.
It started with like family stores, right?
Oh, they're all family stores anyway.
Yeah.
They're all family stores. But they are now getting so big that some of them can be called supermarket nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay, like the Asia Mart, across Kroger.
Okay.
Not Kroger. Costco. Okay, Asia Mart.
Asia Mart, yeah.
And also there's a even bigger one. What is it? Yuehua, a Vietnamese Chinese owns that. Now it's just like a supermarket.
Okay.
And also now, next to that restaurant we ate, the Saraga, owned by a Korean family. Oh, that was huge. That is huge. Huge.
And they have two stores, I think. Taraga has one in the south side too.
Oh, I'm not surprised they have two or even more. They're very successful. And Saraga carries a lot of different ethnic food too.
Yes, not just Chinese,
but also Mexican food, South American food.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, South American customers are the main customers nowadays.
For Saraga?
Yes.
Oh.
Right, Saraga. Yeah. Most of the customers are South American, but they do have a lot of items. I like the seafood particularly. So many different fresh seafood.
Fresh seafood,
frozen and fresh. Oh, an endless list. He very big.
Yeah, that's where my dad buys this. When he cooks seafood, he buys it in Saraga.
Exactly. Fresh seafood.
Yeah.
Very appealing.
And it's interesting, when we came in 1997, and we still we didn't have that many like grocery stores, Mexican grocery stores.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But now it's very different.
Now it's very different. There's no problem.
now we don't have to go to Chicago.
You don't have to
eat.
Right.
And I think I remember we didn't go for 15 years, but maybe we went once or twice to Chicago to eat Mexican food because we didn't really have restaurants here. But you did it for a longer time.
Yeah. So the situation changed a lot, improved a lot. Nowadays, grocery is absolutely not a problem. Ethnic grocery food, Chinese or Mexican, absolutely no problem. And also for restaurant eating, we still don't have too many so-called authentic Chinese restaurant here. But at least as far as the Southern style Chinese food, which is people call it Cantonese style. Now the one we went to, Lucky Lau, is a very good one.
Yeah, very
good one. I don't say for the dishes, I don't say 100%. Probably 80% authentic Chinese. But for the dim sum, those we ate, they're very good. They are very good, very authentic.
That reminds you of Hong Kong or like the food, or not really?
Well, they're comparable. Put it that way.
Okay, so
of course they are not
very close.
Oh yeah, close enough that I'm happy with. Put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess when you think about the concept of home, then what do you think about, or where is home?
What is home?
Yeah.
Home is a place that I'm happy to settle for the rest of my life. Number one.
Yes.
Okay. Well, here, my home, here, this is my home.
Where you're
sitting here now.
Yes.
This is my home. This is Central Indiana, the Hoosier State.
Yes.
Okay. I'm also lucky to have a home with a pretty good will
Yes.
would say, I told my wife, I said, well, I'm not going to leave. Maybe joking, but I said, well, if I don't exist, all you need is to take a hole there in my yard. But that's a joke.
Yes.
It just tells you how much I love this home.
Yes.
I love this
I mean,
home.
you've created. So, is this where you live? You came. This is where the only home you've lived in, or here in Carmel, or
No. There's a little story here. When I moved from Boston to Carmel, I was living down the street.
Okay.
Right in front of my main door. There's a street, a short street right in front. Okay. At the end of the street is a cul-de-sac, a court. I lived there. Okay. I bought a house over there, and in the cul-de-sac, pretty decent area. And here, the former owner, original owner, again, it was my Lily colleague, a generation older than me. Okay, so the time, because we are still neighbors, so sometimes I come and say hello, have a cup of tea, talk. I saw, now this is an older neighborhood. Okay. It's a 40-something-year-old neighborhood in Carmel.
Okay.
It's not like the new neighborhood, new subdivision. There's something good about old neighborhood. I'll tell you later. When I came to this house, my friends got David and his wife Lillian, both. Oh, David worked for AT&T. Lillian was my leading colleagues. Okay, so I came in sometimes see them. I was admiring that piece of property. Very big. This lot, 1.5 acre.
Oh.
A lot bigger than the average homes in this neighborhood.
In this area.
The region here, you can see that there is a peninsula stretching out into the lake.
I see.
That makes it double the size of everybody else here. So I was admiring, wow.
Their space.
In my mind, I never say that in front of them. It's so embarrassing. In my mind, one day if I have this big lot, that is a perfect place for me to build my dream garden.
Yes.
At that time, in this lot, absolutely empty.
There was nothing.
Except
trees?
A couple of big trees. That's it. Everything else is empty.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, by the waterfront, it was a swamp. Waterfront there. They were not gardeners. That's the only reason. They were not gardeners. They're not interested in gardening. It just happened that they own a big piece of land.
Yeah.
Waterfront was all swamp of weeds and even snakes, water snakes come up, That was the situation. But anyway, I love because it is a big space, a large area that I think I can convert it into a garden according to what I like. Gardening is because I think it came from when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
In a little kid, I always like to plant a little thing here, a little thing there, So that had been part of me since I was a kid, but I never have a land to really grow something. Small planters.
You had pots.
Yeah, pots and planters, So it was my kind of habit, hobby. Hobby. It's a hobby, put it that way. But it's certainly, gardening, it brings to a different topic that I like art. I like art. But let me go back. So this former owner, Lillian and David, one day, they were one generation, work generation, above me. One day when I came in here to see them, said, hey, Kwan, I'm retiring. We are retiring. Would you like my property? Oh, wow.
Your dream come true.
Yeah. I did not even think. My answer was spontaneous. Yes. That's how I acquired that.
Okay.
Okay. I took over this, and they move out, they build something else somewhere else.
I just wanted to thank you again for giving us so much information about you and the organization you're part of and your history and how you got here. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's Erica, and you're listening to More Than a Place, a podcast by the Indianapolis Public Library, produced in partnership with Kendall Antron of the Made in Indy podcast. We couldn't tell the unforgettable stories of our community without your support. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us. To learn more about Indy immigrant leaders like Kwan, visit IndyPL.org/More Than a Place. Thanks for listening.